Hey, what's going on? It's John, and it's time for the JMART cast for Monday, September 6th. What is going on? How are ya? Oh man, what a good week I've had. I hope you had a good one too. I will tell you all about it, but first I'm going to start off with a couple of apologies. I did a couple of things that I'm not super proud of, so I'm going to apologize. The people who are involved are probably never going to hear this, but still feels good to apologize. I'll tell two stories, two somewhat bad ones and one good one. So I don't know if the good one cancels out one of the bad ones, but nonetheless, here we go. So the first bad one, I happened pretty early on. I think it was actually on Sunday even. So more than a week ago now, but I was outside with Carly and my kid, and we were just walking home from having spent some time in the playground where Benny likes to play. And as we were walking away, I saw a lady with a dog, and the dog was doing a number two, which is fine, of course, but I noticed that the owner of the dog was definitely not holding a plastic bag to take care of it afterwards. And she noticed that I was noticing, and she realized that, I guess she didn't have it. Maybe she forgot, I guess. I don't know. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt and say most of the time she picks up after her dog, but this time she accidentally forgot the plastic bag and noticed that I was noticing that she forgot it and that she had no way of taking care of picking up after her dog. So then I wasn't on my best behavior because I didn't just look away and let whatever was going to happen. Instead, I kept looking at her as we were walking, not really mean mugging or anything, but just kind of continuing to look and see what's going to happen. Like there was something that was going to happen eventually. Like the dog was done and they were either going to move on and just leave it there or just keep standing there and wait for me to pass. But as we were walking away, she did start going away and not having picked up after her dog. So before I could control myself and not say what I said, I kind of just turned around and said, "Hey lady, pick up after your dog shit." Not the best decision, and I apologize for that. And she rightfully turned back around and told me to F off. So I probably shouldn't have said anything, or then I thought about it at best. If I did feel like saying something, I should have said, "Please pick up after your dog," instead of saying, "Pick up your dog shit." But anyways, so that's the first story. And then the second one was just happened on Sunday. We were going to go to Electric Island Music Festival that was happening at Ontario Place. And to get down there, we took a Lyft ride from our home down. And so we ordered this Lyft and we got on. The dude was driving like an SUV. I forget what model, but anyways, he was one of these guys that when he drives, he's always like either hitting the gas pedal or the brake pedal. And there's a couple of times where he was just not driving nearly as slow as was necessary for the situation. And, it felt like there was going to be an accident unless he either hit the brakes really hard or swerved. And he ended up hitting the brakes really hard most of the time. But after the second time, I spoke up and I was like, hey, what are you doing? Just slow down. And he did not like that at all. He was very defensive, and he stopped the car and was like, "Do you want to get out?" I was like, "What?" That's not what I said, but I was like, "No, that's not what I said." And I try to explain that I was looking for him to just slow down, not stop and kick us out. But he kind of just repeated the same thing. It's like, did you say you want to get out? And so Carly my wife was that's not what he said. She's trying to help the situation, and I definitely did not help the situation anymore by saying drive afterwards. I didn't say it in a good voice. I think if I said please drive, it would have been better. But I said drive, and the guy just like continued to be very defensive after that. And as soon as that happened, I realized, oh, this is like, I need to bring, like, I still need this ride to get me where I want to go. This guy can drive well enough that I'm pretty sure we won't get in an accident because he can hit the brake really hard, but but it's just going to be mostly an uncomfortable ride, but we just wanted to get there on time. And I was like, okay, it's time to de-escalate. So from that point on, I just kept being like, okay, I'm just worried about the safety of all three of us. We're all in the car together, try to make us into one unit so that he kind of could understand that I was not just like thinking about myself. And then he was like, I think maybe he took the hint, and he's like, all right, then just don't tell me what to do. And I was like, yes, okay. And actually he said, and you could totally tell that last one was the other guy's fault. And, you know, I guess it kind of was, but he was also like driving super fast. But I was like, I'm just going to go with it at this point. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt that was that guy's fault. And, trying to get on his side. And from that point on, he started driving. One last thing that happened, I guess, was Carly was like, you just don't have to get so defensive about it. And of course, he didn't like hearing that either. And he goes, yes, I do. This is my job. And then at that point, I just kind of squeezed Carly's hand to kind of let her know it was okay. And she stopped saying anything. And we kind of rode out the rest of the trip in silence. But yeah, sorry to that guy for backseat driving and telling you what to do, even though you're speeding and unnecessarily and making the ride more dangerous. But still, you're right. If we're willing to get in the car, we have to also be willing not to backseat drive. All right, so that's my two negative stories, and then the one positive one was actually right after that at the just as we got into the festival, we were. I'm gonna just take a sip of water. My voice is sounding very crackly. So we were at the. Oh, that's even worse. We were at inside the festival, and just at the main stage, there's not many people there yet, just a few pockets of people, and you could see the ground very clearly. And all of a sudden, I noticed that somebody dropped one of those green TD bank cards or Visa cards, whatever it was. I didn't really look at it too closely, but it had been laying there, not next to anything, so it wasn't like somebody put it down. So I just picked it up and noticed that there were some people around. Maybe like 6 to 10 feet away. I went and talked to the first group. It wasn't theirs, but they were kind of funny. There's these like young dudes who were like, don't worry, it's not a problem. They've got Apple Pay. I'm just like, I know, but it is still a problem to have lost your card, dude. Like such a young person kind of attitude to be like, oh, I can fix this with my phone. Don't worry about it. That smartphone, that'll fix everything for you, right? You lived your whole life with the smartphone. Anyways, the second group of people I walked up to, at first they're like, no, that's not us. But then the girl was like, oh, wait, that's actually mine. Thank you so much. And the dude she was with was like, oh, you're so lucky. This never happens. Which it doesn't. So I just kind of gave them the prayer sign, like the Buddha thank you or hello sign when you put your palms together, and I gave him a little nod and said, pass it on. So that's my one good deed to make up for the two bad deeds. Move on to the rest of the week. I'll go in chronological order for that. Let's see, Monday, Tuesday, and actually Wednesday too. I went to the calisthenic park, had 3 solid days of still some basic training. I'm not really going anything specific, anything like super goal oriented. I'm just doing my basics, doing my bread and butter, keeping consistent, staying strong, pulling, pushing, keeping the tempo slow, working till muscle fatigue, making sure the quality of every rep is at 100%. Even though I'm not, working towards anything specific, I know that these principles are what is necessary to guide somebody towards any goal that they're headed towards. So, it's just like I have other priorities in terms of like what to focus my mind on. So I don't want to think of a specific goal to work towards on, but I'm just keeping consistent with what I know works. So yeah, that was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then my birthday was on September 3rd. Had a great birthday and whole birthday weekend. It's been awesome. Let's see. So the birthday would have been on Friday. Had a great day overall. Started off a little bit off with me going to wake up my son from in the morning, and he kind of just like for no reason broke down on me and started crying, and that was a jarring start to the day. But luckily, my wife came in and saved me and kind of comforted Benny while I kind of hid away in the kitchen making dinner. Not the best approach, but at least I had the support of my wife, and we talked about possibly approaching the situation a little bit better next time and trying to be more involved in the comfort part. But, that's just her area of expertise. And, of course, I'm not against working on that. So we'll see the next time when the opportunity presents itself. But besides that, the rest of the morning was amazing. We went to the Toronto Botanical Gardens. They're called Edward Gardens, which is this beautiful place and one of the best places in Toronto to go to these days because it's outdoors. You get to see beautiful flowers and plants and old giant trees, and you can do that pretty freely without having to worry about having a mask, and it's great. So I had a really beautiful morning there where decided to bring my gymnastic rings with me because I've been there before, and I know like I said, the trees there are pretty huge, and some of them have pretty sweet branches you can hang the rings off of, and have a pretty sweet workout. And Benny really likes the rings as well because he's just developed the grip strength to be able to hang on and hold his whole weight with just both of his hands. And with the rings, he can do a little bit of swinging and rotating around and stuff like that and spinning. So that's been a fun addition. So I thought it'd be a great thing to bring with us. And then it really was. We I walked around and just saw the plants a little bit and flowers. And it's funny, the kids just like learned about smelling and using his nose for breathing too. So he just kind of was approaching every plant, every flower, and just being like, just like not even breathing, like breathing in and breathing out so quickly that he wouldn't even have time to like analyze what he's breathing in, what he's smelling. But it was just funny to see him do that. And then once we checked out the flowers, there's a little creek you can cross over, and on the other side there's more like a grassy area with the big trees. So we went over there and found a sweet actually we found the first tree we tried was like not really that strong. I should have probably tested it out a little bit sooner, but after I set up both rings, I realized, this is not going to be good. So I had to take it down and then go find like a more of a hardwood tree. And eventually did find the right place. And then when I set up rings, my favorite thing to do right away is to try some muscle ups, because it's so much easier to do them on rings than it is on a bar, because you kind of just go straight up instead of having to go around the bar, which is a lot easier. And so I started doing those, did a set of 5, and then it felt good, so I stopped. And then kind of the wheels started turning in my head, the gears started going, and I was like, this is my birthday, and I've already done 5 muscle ups. I bet I could easily do 33 muscle ups, one for every year I've been alive, by the end of the day. And if I just keep doing sets of 5 or whatever, it'll be fine. I'll get there in no time. It's like, it'll be a fun thing to try, a little physical challenge for the birthday. I know people sometimes do like, squats or bench presses. Like they like do like some sort of multiple of their weight in terms of like a squat or a bench press for their birthday, just to show that they're still not old or whatever. And I don't know, I guess the thought crossed my mind, and I'm like, yeah, I'll just do the same thing. So I started like basically taking 5 to 10 minute breaks to, talk to my wife, play with my kid. That would be my rest break. We would like roll around in the grass, chase each other, run around, stuff like that. And then in between those 10-minute breaks, I guess I would just go on the rings, do my set of 5, and then go back. And we did that for a while. I took more than 10-minute breaks, I guess. I don't know how long we ended up being at the park for, but ended up doing 4 sets of 5. So I did my 20 at the park, and then we drove back home just before my kid's nap time, so that he could like sleep at home instead of in the car, because that always works out better. And it was funny. It was a good parenting moment of using reverse psychology like to my favor against my kid. Because what happens is, if he falls asleep in the car, then when we transfer him to his bed during nap time, sometimes it can go badly and he'll wake up and won't be able to fall back asleep. And then if he can't get a nap, then he's cranky the rest of the day. So ideally, we want to keep him up, but I found that like trying to keep him entertained and like engage him in some ways is like pretty hard, and he just falls asleep anyway. So then I was like, wait, reverse psychology. Whenever I do want him to fall asleep, I'm always like, Benny, are you feeling tired? You want to go to sleep? And he'll always be super defiant, like, no, I'm not. Don't make me go to sleep. So, so it's like, now I don't want him to go to sleep. So I have to reverse psychology this kid and be like, hey, Benny, are you tired? You look like you should go to sleep. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead and nap. And he's right away, like clockwork. No, don't make me go to sleep. And yeah, it just worked out perfectly. He stayed up right up until we pulled into the driveway, picked him up, and just carried him to bed. Didn't even have to read him a story. Fell asleep. It was great. And then the rest of the day was all pretty sweet too. For dinner, we ended up having sourdough pizza that my wife and I made. And then we ended up having a later dinner, so that we kind of just fed my son kind of throughout the rest of the afternoon his dinner. And then we had a late dinner ourselves, just so we could have a more of a alone time for my for my birthday, which was really nice. We had some pretty sweet sourdough pizza that the sourdough I made myself. And then we not dressed, but like made the pizzas on the day of. And we made 2 kinds. One was pepperoni with olives and mushrooms, some sun-dried tomatoes, and a whole whack of like really nice mozzarella cheese covering the whole thing. That was pretty sweet. Really liked that one. The second one was didn't have a cheese, but it was like covered in olive oil, and it had pear and goat cheese and what is that Italian meat? Prosciutto. Yeah, really amazing too. Both were really good. Freaking. If you have me on Instagram, I was in my stories, so you would have seen it there. If you don't, and you have Instagram, just get on there and follow me so you can see all the good stuff. Speaking of social media, I had a funny interaction on Twitter, which led me to listening to some old music that I hadn't listened to in a while, which is always nice. So let me see if I can find it and read it, and I guess share it. So there's this account I follow. This dude's name is Steve Saretsky. He's like a real estate guy from Vancouver, but he kind of talks about the economy and politics about throughout all of Canada, what's going on and stuff. So I initially found him on YouTube. Then now that I'm on Twitter, I'm following the same accounts of those people that I have on YouTube or whatever that I like. So I followed his account, and then I saw a tweet from him that said, inflation running at a 10-year high and Canada's GDP unexpectedly contracted 1.1% annualized in Q2. Stagflation question mark. So yeah, it's he's, like I said, he's an economics guy, just making comments about what's going on. This is the stuff that I've been learning about recently, and definitely something that struck a chord with me as I read this. So I replied to him. Unfortunately, most people don't know and don't care. I, myself, only started learning and caring about this stuff just over a year ago. Now I'm the crazy person for bringing up it. Now I'm the crazy person for bringing it up every conversation. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a funny response. And then, as I said, the exact wording is, I myself only started learning. And then the way I wrote that is I used commas after I and after myself. So it's I, comma, myself, comma, only started learning. And then somebody, I guess, appreciated that and responded with appreciating the use of Oxford commas. I thought that was a bit of a funny comment. And so I responded with a thank you, although I'm not a fan of Vampire Weekend. So that probably doesn't make sense to people. But Vampire Weekend is a band I used to listen to from the early, you call it aughts, I guess, the early 2000s, or I guess late 2000s. Because the song they have a song called Oxford comma, and the lyric is actually, who gives a fuck about an Oxford comma? That is so he's appreciating my use of Oxford commas, although I'm a fan of Vampire Weekend, who has a song called Oxford comma where they say who gives a fuck about it. So it totally reminded me about that song, and then I started listening to the song and then the whole album. The song is called Oxford comma, the band is Vampire Weekend. This particular song's from 2008. Anyway, I like the whole album. It's pretty good. Check it out if you like it. What else? So on Saturday, the day after my birthday, I wanted to have a little barbecue with a few friends, and it was pretty small. Ended up being pretty small. We ended up having, besides my wife and I, we had 4 other adults and 2 children. And it was pretty sweet. It was really nice to have friends come over, and we had some pineapple chicken on barbecue skewers, on like wooden skewers, I mean. Carly really marinates those really well, and they come out so soft and juicy. Sorry, vegetarian friends listening to this. We also had a lot of grilled veggies too, actually. Veggie skewers, and then I made some baba ganoush dip. It was really good. And my friend brought some sweet bruschetta. That was great. Oh man, that bruschetta was so good. I could just eat it by the spoonful. Let's see. And then my friends brought a couple of 2 of their kids. That's all their kids, but 2 kids they brought with them, and they played with my son. And it was just really nice to see the kids playing and hearing them laugh together. It's just such a, nice thing to have present. Yeah, it's just a nice thing to have around you. It feels just right to have kids running around, yelling, laughing, a little bit of crying every now and then too, but mostly having a good time. Yeah, it was awesome. And it's funny, my friends' kids, they know that in the basement I've got a gym down there with all my training equipment, so they were asking to go down there. And so, of course, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's check out what we've got. Let's play with all the equipment. I'll show you how to do everything. So we go down there, and last time they were there, they really liked the gymnastic rings that I have. I have them hung up from the squat rack that I have, and I can lower them down to their height, and they can basically hang from it and swing back and forth. And right away, they just went for that. Started playing with that, and it was really awesome to see that, because I had actually gotten them their own set of gymnastic rings because I saw how much they liked it the first time. I thought they should have their own pair for when they go home, because they also have a squat rack at home that they could hang it off of for indoors play. And then they've also got some sweet trees that definitely are hardwood and strong enough and have really good branches for hanging those rings off of as well. So they were, as soon as they saw that, they're so happy. It made my day seeing that. And and they were pretty stoked about it. Yeah. And then my wife, who's been just amazing and has given me the best birthday weekend ever, probably, was pretty awesome and stepped up, made an amazing chocolate cake. It was like a 4-layer chocolate cake with Swiss meringue buttercream icing. Yeah, it was just the best thing ever. The kids loved it, of course. And then even the adults, like people who don't like, sweet things, were just like, yeah, give me seconds. And I definitely went for seconds. It was so good. She's the best. Thank you. Thank you, honey, for that. Best birthday ever. Thank you to all my friends who showed up, who came. Yeah, it wasn't even, I wanted to just have the barbecue for barbecue sake and for a get-together sake, not as a thing of birthday, but it just kind of turns into that as people find out that your birthday is in fact that around that time. And then to cap off the whole week, we went to Electric Island Music Festival for Sunday, yesterday, which is part of the reason why this podcast is a little bit later than what I would have wanted to release it. My goal is to kind of make these or record these on Fridays and Saturdays, on Saturdays or Sundays, and like have it released by Monday morning. Because like I said, this is a total ripoff of Bill Burr's Monday morning podcast, and I want this to come out Monday morning. So all you out there listening in your cubicles or your cars or whatever you're listening from can listen to me instead of Bill Burr, because I'm definitely a better listen than that guy. He used to be funny, but now all he talks about is how people should be wearing masks and getting vaccinated and getting mad about stupid things like that rather than being funny like he used to be. That's right, Bill Burr. I went there. Prove me wrong. Anyways, back to my podcast. We went to the Electric Island. You already heard the first part of that about the taxi ride or Lyft ride. It was actually a Lyft. We used the Lyft app to get there. Definitely gave the guy a 1-star, no tip, and and it gives you like little options as to why it's a 1-star. So I put dangerous driving and not following like rules, which he really wasn't. He was basically rolling through every stop sign. Not that I don't do that, but like every single one. Come on, dude. Like, anyways, and then of course the credit card part as well. You heard about the first 2 parts of the time at the island. I guess it wasn't at the island actually. Normally Electric Island is on the islands, but this time around it was at Ontario Place, which actually ended up being pretty nice. I really liked the location. They had it set up pretty well in terms of like, they even had 3 stages, which is pretty unexpected. Usually they just have 2, but yeah, there were 3 stages. The main stage as we got there was like, it's kind of basically on a parking lot and you're standing on concrete, and it was just really sunny and hot, and the concrete was baking and there was no shade anywhere. So we're like hung out at the main stage for about 10 minutes and baked, and we're like, this is uncomfortable. Let's GTFO. And we're like, let's go check out the second stage. There was more shade there. So we went and hung out there, and it was this area. It was kind of like these big gravel on where you're standing, big rocks. So it was a little hard to dance on that, but at least we were covered in it. Like there was a bunch of tall trees that were providing the perfect amount of shade to, not feel like you're baking under the sun and really enjoy the music. Really, it was a way better experience at the second stage than it was at the main stage. So we're just like, all right, we're hunkering down here. And it was cool, actually. Both the main stage and the second stage had female DJs on at the same time. And then by the time we checked out the third one, there was a female DJ there as well. And I think basically all of the stages had female DJs leading up until 7 p.m. At least 7, at least for the main stage. After, I don't know what the other ones were, but from 7 onwards, it was 2 dudes, Justin Martin and Green Velvet. which Justin Martin, I just like, oh, that's another J-Mart. That's my namesake right there. He was awesome. Really liked his set. If I had to describe his set, it was like you could break it down into 3 chunks. The first third started off really good, really enjoyed it, and the last third was amazing, like a perfect way to end the set. And then the middle part was just like, I don't know what you're doing right now. There's a lot of weird kind of sound effects and beats going on right now. This might not be right for me. But then afterwards, when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I appreciate an artist that will take me through a journey and take me a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So like, I liked that. I liked the beginning and the end. And if I had to go through a little bit of like discomfort in the middle, that's the perfect, perfect set in a way, because, as an artist, sometimes that's your goal, is to take the, what's it called? The people who view your art, to take them, your audience, there we go, to take them outside of your comfort zone. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that was sweet. And then the last closer of the festival on the main stage was Green Velvet, and man, he's awesome. Although, like, what happened was, like, so we actually got to the event just after 3, and the event ended at 11. So it's like a solid 8 hours of being at a music festival. Of that 8 hours, we basically spent an hour and a half probably resting, sitting down somewhere, like taking breaks. But the rest of the 6.5 hours, we were giving it and dancing and cutting the rug. Like, it was awesome. And by the way, my wife came, and she was like, she's almost 30 weeks pregnant. Not quite there yet, but like, she's very visibly pregnant. That was actually one thing that, like, we had 4 different groups come up and notice that she was pregnant, and at a music festival, just like giving it and like just giving her props for doing so, just being like, way to go, like, that's so awesome. One of them was like, get them hooked young to the music, that is. And it was funny. One of the funny ones was it was a group of dudes that came and congratulated her, and then asked me if I was the dad. Then one of the dudes was like, is it a boy or a girl? I'm like, it's a girl. And the guy's response was like, ah. It's like, well, I feel differently, but it's okay. At least they were congratulating us. Anyways, actually, it's funny. I went with my wife, of course, and then we with 2 other friends, and all 4 of us got one comment or another. Let's go through all 4 of us. So 4 people came up to Carly and mentioned the whole being awesome for being pregnant at the music festival thing. I had one comment on my hair. I usually get at least one when I grow it out. So I've been growing it out, and it's getting pretty long now. And once it gets to this length, there's always a comment here or there. And I got one. And then my friend was wearing a Detroit Hustles Harder t-shirt, which you get for when you go to the Detroit Electronic Music Festival, DEMF. And people who go to that festival always find the other people and talk to one another. So she had a couple people go up to her and mention that and talk to her a little bit about it. And then last one was my buddy. His comment was, at one point we were just like resting in between sets, and we were just kind of resting on some rocks sitting there, but it was kind of behind the second stage where you could hear that stage pretty well. And then just at one point the beat changed, and it just got really good. And my friend was like, oh, I feel this beat, and got up and started like dancing and grooving to it and doing a little shuffle. And as he's doing that, a dude's coming by, and he's just like looking at him as he's walking by, and just like nodding his head to the beat, and just looking at my buddy and just being like, man, you're really feeling it, eh? And like, there's no way he'd heard him say that right, like, ahead of time. So it was just great to see that. Man, you're really feeling it, eh? Yeah, he really was. But yeah, Green Velvet set. So in between Justin Martin, my boy J-Mart, and Green Velvet, who was the closer, we needed a bit of a break. So we took a half-hour break. So we missed the first 30 minutes of Green Velvet, but it was totally necessary because it gave us the second win to be able to go and really enjoy that last set before the festival was over. And we get back, and at first, like, the first song we get back to is just like this weird like voiceover with very little like melody or beats behind it, and it just didn't sound very good. And like we're just like, what the heck have we walked into? But immediately that was over, and right away there was like a sweet like bass line coming in, and we're like, all right, everything's fine, we are okay. And yeah, from that point onwards, like the middle hour of Green Velvet set was just pure gold, like just magic. He had so many good songs. He played Laser Beams. Those of you who know Laser Beams, you know how good that would have been hearing that live. And those of you who don't know, just go YouTube or Spotify, whatever, Green Velvet Laser Beams, and you can thank me later. Let's see, what else did he play? Oh yeah, there's I see your lips moving, but what you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? I see your lips moving, but what you talking about? I can't not laugh. Hearing that out loud. Yeah, go check that one out too. What's that one called? Hold on, I had it. I saved it on my Spotify. I'll pull it up and to let you know. Deceiver by Chris Lake and Green Velvet. Yeah, check that one out. Deceiver, Chris Lake, Green Velvet. Yeah, that middle hour was just freaking amazing, and then just the last half hour, last little bit, it was the energy was, he was bringing it down. I feel like he didn't finish strong, but it was also kind of nice the last half hour because there was the tiniest little bit of gentle summer rain. Oh my God, it was actually so perfect. It was like better than if there would have been no rain at all, because just that little tiny bit was giving a nice little bit of moisture to cool people off, but not really get anybody wet. And you could see the raindrops actually through some of the floodlights coming through. You could see how small and tiny and infrequent they were, and it just like made the experience so much more magical. It was amazing, so much fun. Yeah, that last half hour was low energy but perfect with like the setting of like the light bit of rain and yeah, just the crowd and people. Oh man, it felt so good to just be around a large group of people, seeing faces and smiles and people dancing, moving and grooving and just having a good time and not thinking about all this craziness. Like I had like so many people look me in the eyes and give me smiles, and like there's no words that can describe as to like how good that feels and how like deprived we've been from that because of these stupid masks. I'm not going to rant about that. All right. Let's see. Yeah, it was an amazing day, amazing weekend. And my wife, who, like I said, is nearly 30 weeks pregnant, was the biggest trooper for coming to that music festival, dancing her heart out for 6.5 hours of the 8-hour experience, and just like not complaining or asking to go home early. It was great. It was great. And yeah, let's see. One final thing I wanted to end off on today was, let's see, I'm going to find it. These messages I've been going back and forth with people on about, just what's going on. So it seems like vaccine passports are for sure coming in. They're happening. Everyone's, not everyone. the government officials are basically signaling that it's, going to come in. That's how I'm seeing it. And, it doesn't seem like a lot of people are too worried about it. I personally am very, very against the idea and would like to see it get squashed. But I understand I'm in the minority on this. And it's difficult. It's difficult being in the minority. But I have to understand that I want to align myself with what people are thinking, even though I disagree. And that's why I've went and got the vaccine, and I'm scheduled to get the second shot on Wednesday. But I'm just interested as to what's going to happen, right? Why does everyone have to get the vaccine? It just doesn't make sense. What if you've already gotten the virus and you have better immunity than what the vaccine offers? Why do you have to get it? And then is it just to get the vaccine passport so you can move freely? Because that doesn't sound good. So you can go to these places that like restaurants and gyms, right? Doesn't seem fair, at least from my point of view. Others might disagree. But I'm interested in this. So I have some people who I follow on Instagram. One of them is a gym owner I'm not going to say where. I don't want this. Probably no one will ever find out, even if I do say, but just to be one of them is a gym owner, we were just doing a back and forth commenting about something unrelated. And because he's a gym owner and he was already talking to me, I just thought maybe I'd ask him a question about this because I want to know what's going on. And I said, do you mind if I ask you what your gym's policy is regarding clients and trainers' vaccine status? Are you letting people train at the gym without asking about it? This is a very controversial topic, so I'll understand if you've had enough talking about it already. So I try to table it like that so that, he doesn't feel attacked or anything, because I honestly just wanted to know. And to my surprise, he actually responded and answered my question, and this is what he said. I'm going to read it to you word for word. Between you and I, we're not discriminating against anyone for their choice to get it or not. I am 100% pro-choice on this topic. It's impossible to please everyone at this point in time. That's what he said. He's got a couple of emojis in there as well. One of the dude with the arms kind of out to the sides, like I don't know what to do, and one with the face palm, like also I guess I don't know what to do. And I totally feel what this person's saying. It actually felt really nice to hear this kind of a response, because even though I feel like I'm in the minority, at least there are some other people who are congruent with my line of thinking. And I responded and said, that's the best move in my view. I wish more people saw it that way, but I think we're in the minority. And then I continued with, medical history should remain private. That was my message. And just going to comment on saying that I don't understand how people don't agree with that point of view. They agreed right up until this point. I think we have a bunch of legal documents saying that medical history should be private, but somehow it's no longer the case that everyone thinks that. So the person responded back with, yeah, man, with the hands together emoji, which is usually used as a thank you. At least that's how I use it. He went on to say, the hardest part is I can't publicly express this because the majority of people don't agree with this thought process. Yeah, that sucks. That really sucks that this person, this gym owner, can't publicly express his opinion in fear of, I don't know, paying the price financially, I guess, for thinking something that I think is like common sense. But all right. Well, I just responded to him saying, just thank you for providing a discrimination-free environment for people to train in. And I said, next time I'm in whatever place he's at, I'm definitely going to go for a workout there. Yeah. so hard to talk about this stuff without getting too emotional, getting too angry. I want to see what other people say and think about, and even if I disagree with it, at least try to discuss it. So yeah, if you want to talk to me about it, get on my Instagram, get on my Twitter. Both are JMARTFit, JMARTFIT. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what we can do to move forward with dialogue, right? Not censoring, not anything like that. Not just like shutting people down and calling each other homonyms. All right, I'm going to end it there. Thanks everybody for listening. Cheers and have a good week. J-Mart out.